Crime in this country is through the roof, and we have a new form of crime. It's called migrant crime, and it's happening at levels that nobody thought possible.
President Trump, as you know, the FBI says overall violent crime is actually coming down in this country. But
excuse me, the FBI they were defrauding statements. They didn't include the worst cities. They didn't include the cities with the worst crime.
Welcome back to This Week on the Hill. I'm your host, Tony Perkins, and that was former President Donald Trump sparring with ABC News moderator David Muir on Tuesday night. Mr. Speaker, ABC has come under a lot of criticism for the way Davis and Muir handled the presidential debate. Is the criticism justified, in your opinion?
Well justified. That was a 3-on-1 contest, and President Trump performed exceptionally well under those circumstances. I think he's still the reigning champion of presidential debates. He knocked out the first one with Joe Biden, and he gave Kamala Harris a real show, even though she had two accomplices in the ring with her. Kamala Harris began asking for a rematch right after the debate, and President Trump pointed out that's what happens in a prize fight. When somebody goes down, they're the first. When they lose, they're the first to ask for a rematch. So we'll see what happens with that. But I'll say this: Kamala Harris put on a real show, right? It's as if she memorized lines and then stood on the stage and delivered them as if she was an actor in a play. But that's the point. It's an act. Everything she said, almost everything she said, is the opposite of what she stood for her entire life. She wants everyone to believe that she's now a champion for fracking and small businesses and tax cuts, and that she's going to take care of everybody's family. I mean, she didn't do any of that. She did the opposite of it because she acted, as President Trump noted, as a Marxist, or literally a Marxist, a rabid socialist throughout all of her career. Her record is there for all to see. And if this election is about record over rhetoric, which I believe it will be at the end of the day, President Trump is going to prevail in that contest.
I thought the president executed quite well on a number of issues, keeping it focused on policy. And he pressed her on, I think, what is important to a lot of sage cons, the spiritually active, governance-engaged conservatives, on the life issue. He actually took the fight to her on this issue. I want to play this clip 21, please.
And the other thing, you should ask, will she allow abortion in the 8th month, 9th month, 7th month?
Come on.
Okay, would you do that? Why don't you ask her that question?
Why don't you answer the question? Would you
because
veto?
Under Roe v.
Answer
Wade,
the question, would you veto?
you could do abortions in the 7th month, the 8th month, the 9th
That's
month,
not true.
and probably after birth.
They don't want to answer that question, do they?
They certainly do not, nor do our colleagues in Congress, but that is the fact. In fact, virtually every Democrat in the Congress right now has voted to allow abortion up to the moment of birth, funded by taxpayers, by the way. They are the extreme position on this issue, far more extreme than virtually any nation on the planet. And they don't want to account for that. So President Trump was exactly right to take that question right to her. And it is shameful that the ABC moderators allowed her to take a pass on it. That's a critical issue in this election, and everybody needs to know it.
But compare that to how they pressed President Trump. That is one of the glaring examples of how they challenged him but let her walk free. And I've not even seen follow-up in the media saying that she skirted the question and never answered it, because it does show how extreme the Democrats are on this issue, and it shows a contrast between the two parties.
That's exactly right. And the position that our party holds is held by most Americans. I mean, if you do man on the street interviews in any city in America, certainly in any rural area, and you ask them, would it be okay to abort a child in the last stages of pregnancy, or in some cases after birth, which is exactly what has been debated in university settings and by at least one former governor, as President Trump rightfully pointed out. Of course, the American people are not okay with that. And Kamala Harris is trying to hide her record. She is an extremist on the position, and she's trying to flip the tables, and the media is allowing them to do that. But here's the thing: at the end of the day, this really will be, I think this decision on the presidential will be decided on policy and not personality. And while Kamala Harris delivered her well-memorized lines very well on the stage, she couldn't control her emotion very well. But President Trump was authentic. He didn't memorize lines. He got up there to speak from the heart, and that's what people appreciate about him. He's a strong, resolute leader, and that's what we need at a time like this. And I think the American people are going to make that decision in the end.